Let's
There
go.
we go. Look at that.
Oh my God, you can
And,
hear me.
and
Yeah, but the question is, do you want
Well,
to?
let's see
You
what-
know, after I start saying
let's-
things, you might be like, actually, it's better. It was better before.
Well, I mean, I always question whether we should have somebody on here, and then they start talking, and I go, oh, that's pretty great. So, yeah. So yeah, I mean, David, why don't you just give us the brief intro? What are you building? Because I think a lot of people are still asking the question,
Cool.
what is going on here? And then we can get into some of the big news this week.
Yeah, and it's especially because JokeRace is something we've been working on for years, but this is really a result of something that we shipped about a month ago, which is called Vote and Earn. So I'll jump into the feature actually because I think that's the thing that matters. Vote and Earn is a way where in any sort of contest you can come find your favorite entries, buy up votes on them. Your money goes into a rewards pool, and if you vote for winners, you can claim rewards proportionate to your vote. That's the really, really simple explanation. This is done on a price curve. So effectively, the earlier you vote, you basically have higher risk, higher return. So it's really incentivizing conviction-based voting so that you can come in early, vote on what you actually believe in, not just have this be a Keynesian beauty contest where you're waiting for everyone else. And then, if you pick the winner, you're going to earn because you're both going to earn from everyone voting in the contest and other entries, but also in people voting on your own entry at a higher price later on. And so ideally, this creates this kind of dynamic where you have, conviction-based voters who come into the beginning, and then they start providing liquidity into the rewards pool. That then is drawing more people who see the opportunity of liquidity there as well. And then you get this cascade. And we've come close to that a couple of times, but yesterday I think was the first time we really saw that cascade. It was a true cascade of people, I think they were running the calculations and figuring out how much they could actually,
I mean, can you vote? Can you vote with any amount, or is it like you buy a ticket and it's like one ticket per address or something? Like I can come in with like $10,000 on a first vote, and okay, cool.
Yep. If you want to, there's a hurdle rate, so we take 10%, and so effectively, if you bought $10,000, you got to be pretty confident because only $9,000 is going to go into the rewards pool. You need to know there's going to be other people who are going to be coming and supporting in that contest for you to be able to even make up the difference, right? But what is nice is, if you win, you're basically going to be getting the bulk of your money back, right?
Nice. Well, tell us about the contest. What 1 point? What's the number at now? Like how much money is going to voters?
$3 million.
Oh, that's growing kind of fast, brother.
I think it's stalled out. I don't think there's actually. I think if you actually run the numbers, there's really no way to make money from this contest at this point, unless someone came in with like $1 million in the other entry, which I don't think is likely. But okay, so Avalanche has been running this community tournament for weeks now, and so every day they've been running contests through us where they have projects face off against each other. So it's like one-on-one. And this is like doing a couple things for them. One is it's a way for them to just kind of market the apps and these kind of showdowns that people get excited for, right? And I think like the way we tend to think about this is like, people only care about Kendrick or Drake when they're feuding, right? And so the same is often true for attention cycles where it's like if you can create these kind of friendly feuds between projects, they both benefit from the attention, right? And so the goal is like really like get these projects attention and give them an opportunity to go out and show themselves a community. And then if people vote for them, they also have the full on-chain record. They can see everyone who voted for them. So they can actually gauge who their community is as well. They came out and supported them too. So the cool thing with like a bracket tournament, like there's a bunch of things that are really kind of great about it that I've learned from watching Avalanche do this. But like, one is that you always have a decent chance of winning, right? It's like if you're in a contest with like 40 other people, like we did one last week, right, for like best prediction market, and Polymarket started taking off at the beginning, and it's like no one really wants to vote on any of the others after Polymarket's taking off, right? You're like, I don't think anything else here is going to be able to beat Polymarket. Why would I even bother participating? But like in a one-on-one, like there's actually this opportunity, right? Because there's only one other player, so it's not like you have Polymarket running away and then no one else gets seen. So that's really nice. I think the other cool thing with the prediction market, with a bracket tournament, is that whoever the winners are of that tournament will then go on to the next round, and they have more money. They won that, and so they earned, and now they have more money to spend right in the future round. And so it builds and builds. Where in like the first rounds of this that they were running, there was like maybe $1,000 in the rewards pool. And then by like the semifinals, it was like $50,000 in the rewards pool. And then in the finals, it's $1.3 million in the rewards pool, right? And so there's also this kind of cool cascade that's happening of like the projects getting more and more competitive with each other and also getting more and more money that they can spend on this too.
That's really interesting. I'm curious so you've been building this for 3 years. I'm curious what learnings over the last couple of years kind of led you to this new mechanism design that maybe feels like it has the best chance so far?
I think the really simple way to put it is that, you know, if you're building in crypto, you should be enabling people to make money. If you don't want to enable people to make money, that's great, because actually that removes a lot of issues with stuff like curation feeds. And you can go build in Web 2, and Web 2 is really great for that. And I think, like, I used to be of the mind of like, oh, all of Web 2 will convert to Web 3, because like you add on finance and it just makes this so much more interesting with better incentives. And I actually don't think that's true anymore. I actually think Web 2 stuff like serves a really valuable purpose without financial incentives, and I think crypto stuff serves a really valuable purpose with financial incentives. And so I think like that was kind of almost the breakthrough, was realizing like, yeah, people these are financial rails. Like, you have to be able to use them, right, for people to earn. And I think, like, you know, we've been doing that in different ways, but like really being able to broaden it so that anyone can come to the site and anyone can earn, I think that was really kind of the breakthrough.
All right, so we've been in DMs for a little while trying to figure out how do we use Joke for 11 a.m. or for C Club, and there's been a bunch of great ideas, but I thought maybe we could just do a live jam here right now at 11 a.m. We've got all sorts of, our focus here is on builders, trying to bring and platform builders before they take over the timeline, and as you are right now. How should we start thinking about making use of a Joke contest here, or let's get into some ideas?
I think, yeah. So I'm clearly really into bracket tournaments now. So like I kind of like this idea of like, you know, let's take the prediction market example, which I was running, and I don't think I did it well. Like, I think I just had like 20 prediction markets all in the contest, and Polymarket took off and no one else wanted to participate. But like, if you did like prediction market week, right, at 11 a.m., and it was like every day you're having 2, 3, or 4 prediction market founders come on, jam with each other. People are watching, they're voting on their favorites. That one then competes in a higher level. You can kind of build also this momentum, right? Where it's like every day people are tuning in, watching their favorite prediction markets. The winners come back and then they face off against winners. And you run this maybe over like 3 rounds, and it builds momentum, becomes bigger and bigger over time. And meanwhile, like, all of these projects are getting attention. Like, all the prediction market founders are getting airtime, right, to talk about this. And I think it's nice too, because like something I feel a lot as a builder is like, you know, I'm so glad I have this win, because it lets me go on your show and talk to you, and it lets me go talk about the product, and it lets me go approach other people and be like, look what was done. But like, you know, until you have that win, it is really hard getting attention, and I've dealt with that. And so I think, like, you know, just stuff like that is an excuse to feature people whom you might never hear from otherwise, because they don't have some big event of that week. I think that could also be really cool, personally, and really nice for them to get some more visibility.
And to do that well, is it better for, like, should we be designing these contests around folks that have a ton of attention, or is it, or is it better to do like the more nascent, early stage, grassroots type of thing?
Categories that have attention, right? But not necessarily around projects that have attention, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like that's where the delta is. It's like, you know, people really want to know what I don't know, prediction markets and
stable coins, baby. Who's going to win stable coins?
Stable coins, right? Like, I mean, there's just endless categories, right?
New L1s,
stocks on chain.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm still learning a lot about what works and what doesn't work. So I might be wrong. Like part of what's been fun in month 1 of this is realizing most of my hypotheses were wrong, and I'm really happy about that, because it means I was able to test them that quickly and find out that I was wrong. But yeah, I think, like, you know, VC week of like, what's the best VC fund, and you force VCs to like face off against each other. Like,
there we go. Now we're talking.
Viral content. So I think it's like you can run the range from being kind of demonic to being like, you know, angelic, if that makes sense.
I mean, you see how viral, one edge, though. Anytime anyone puts out the like VC ranking list or whatever, and just completely makes it up or throws them on a 4x4 that makes no sense, it goes viral. So I think
like the secret, right, is always to tweeting is to be 90% right and 10% wrong, right. So that everyone has to correct you. So you just get a couple of those in the wrong quadrant, man. No one can resist.
Yeah, so David, I know it's been like, you know, a bit of a battle getting people to see your vision. So I'm curious what you think like people are missing, and why you just continue to be so convicted in this idea of financialized contests.
Oh, interesting. Actually, I think the market's come around to us pretty strong. Like, nice. I wrote a piece recently called Persuasion Markets. And basically what persuasion markets is about is like prediction markets are for objective outcomes. Persuasion markets, as I'm calling them, are for subjective outcomes. And I think you look at like what's hot right now, like Ponder, right, on Farcaster and Base, or you think about like Millie Markets, like this building in Solana, even True Markets to some degree, which I think is on Base. What am I forgetting? Like even Noise in some ways it probably qualifies as this. Like there is just all polls.fun, opinions.fun, like all these different variations of like financial incentives for people registering their opinion. And I think like ours is a little bit different from most of those because most of those are either straight Keynesian beauty contests of just like only concerned with what other people think, whereas we're more on the conviction side, or they're really based on tokenizing, which we avoid, and there's no way to tokenize here. So like we all have differences, I think, in how we've like set up our mechanics. I'm in touch with a lot of these founders; they're really great. And I think we all kind of had this feeling of like we're starting to have this moment, like there is something here, and hopefully a couple of us will make it out of the trenches. But like it actually feels pretty exciting right now for this kind of space.
I mean, I really like the bonding curve model because it kind of solves the cold start problem of like, why would I participate in a contest with $10? It kind of answers that question, and then once it hits some amount of money, then it becomes gets more attention, becomes more interesting, more people want to participate, and that kind of flywheel kicks off. So I think it makes a ton of sense.
That was the wild thing yesterday for the Avalanche one was like hour one produced $65,000 in rewards. And I was like, wow, this is already our biggest contest ever. Like 65,000, that's crazy. But then hour two, right, like went up to like 350,000. And then hour three went up to like 1 million. So it was like you really saw exponential growth as more and more people saw the liquidity that was there that they wanted to come in and get too. So like getting that kind of like liquidity flywheel, I think is like that's really when stuff can take off. And yeah, the kind of like exponential curve model definitely helps with that.
Yeah, I think there's a great example here of like what a good venture both sort of company is and from a venture perspective, like what a good venture investment is. Because I think the ability to be in before the category forms, I think, is a very good way of contextualizing this, and also to be able to really feel what that feels like. And for us as being longtime supporters of you and what you're building, we get to sort of see that process as well. Where I think what Josh was saying there, like most people just didn't get it, and yet you had this conviction. I'm pretty sure we had many conversations about tokens that you had very strong opinions on, and I think holding on to that conviction and having that belief is absolutely necessary to kind of be part of the defining movement of building a category.
I appreciate that so much, and I also think the opposite is equally true. Like I agree with 100% with that, but I also think the opposite is true, which is like you have to stay convicted, I think, to the general thing you're building, but when it comes to specifics, you got to be ready to pivot all the time. Like this has been since day one a contest model where there's an entry period where people submit entries and a voting period where people vote. But the ways in which people enter and vote totally has changed over years, right? And what that's meant. And I think like vote and earn is clearly this is kind of the game changer for us. And it really took that long to get there because we went through basically every other variation of entering and voting you can think of, and got a lot of data that really got us convicted on this specific version. So, it's a mix because I do think there's like a certain type of founder who just pivots to the hype every 6 months and you just watch. It's the saddest thing in the world. Like by the time you're pivoting to the hype, you're too late, right? Like it's just it's hard to watch. But there's another one who's so convicted on their vision that they refuse to take any feedback or get any data from anyone. And I think it's like I was like that the first time I founded a company. I was like working on this invoicing app for freelancers, and I was like, we must have 24 different versions of the invoice in different fonts and colors so it looks beautiful. And like, why was I doing this? Purely ego. It was like I just wanted to impress myself that I had a beautiful product, but it wasn't anything people actually wanted. And so I think like that's also been really important that like we have prioritized getting stuff out there to see if there's interest before we improve it and before we really perfect it. And the metaphor I use internally with the team is like it really is like it's like a sculpture. Like it feels like you have this block of just stone and you're just whittling it away. And to get it into like a rough shape is like maybe half your work, but then the fine tuning is like that's another half. So it's like you can see the vision pretty quickly, but to actually see it work takes a long time.
There's a company in the stone. You just have to get it out.
out. Yeah, and it's just endless polishing, right, at some point. But that's good if you get to that stage.
Yeah, I've got a 2x2 that I use from. I was thinking of just like what's a great crypto founder, and I think on one side it's boomer versus degen, right? So, and then the other it's ideologue versus pragmatist.
Yeah.
And depending on what you're building, you don't want to be at either edge, really. But depending on where you're building, you want to be maybe defaulting or biased to one or the other. So it's been helpful.
That's a good way. I like that. I like that way of thinking about it. And yeah, it's like, the thought boy versus, like doer.
Yes.
Distinction is real. It's very real. And it is just shocking how many people don't even get to the starting line, to be totally honest.
Yeah, amen. All right, well, give us a look into the future here. What's coming next? I'm sure there's a lot of people who are eager to come in and play the next contest. Do we have some that are set up right now, or?
Yeah, so actually there's one still running for another couple hours, which is Ink. Did this demo day yesterday, which is really cool, to learn about and pick their favorite projects. And I do think like part of what I'm ideologically excited by, I think with JokeRace is like not the idea that there actually is anything as an objective best outcome that you're going to pick at the end of this. Like I like those futarchy guys, and I like this idea that this like kind of mechanism is like a way to pick the best thing. But what I'm really interested in is discovery. Like I'm really interested in this idea that like you are incentivizing people to come and learn about projects because they can earn from it, right? And it's a fun thing for them to do. And this is like dopamine booster to them actually like going out and discovering things. So the Ink contest I think is like a really good example of that. That one's running right now. We have some big contests coming up next week. It's the last week for us of what we've been calling joke games, where we've been running a couple contests a week. Those will be seeded with about like $3,000, and then the rewards will go up from there as more people enter as well. So there's some immediate opportunity in those. Next week that are coming up, and then on product level, there's all sorts of, I think, really good feedback we've gotten and we'll be implementing. But like one thing I'm thinking about much longer term is like, what can we be doing for creators who want to create contests, and like streamers like you guys who want to just be able to like add this into their show, and there's more incentive for people to come watch, listen, and engage as well.
Nice. How about, I mean, for folks who haven't read your essays, they're probably missing out. And it's, I think, 3 quarks, I believe, on Substack, right? Three
quarks.
Yeah. So you got anything else? Like, what's in drafts right now?
I was debating doing a piece on revenue and REV, and I think I shouldn't touch that. I think I need to focus on product.
It's kind of the dumbest.
Yes,
it's kind of the dumbest debate that it's like, why do we even have to wade into this?
Yeah, exactly. And my voice is not going to matter. I think persuasion markets is like, that's something that feels like it needs to be articulated to the world. I think David Phelps' thought on REV is not something anyone needs.
Staying in his own lane.
That's never scared you before, man. You're changing.
Not on Twitter,
You're
but
changing.
yeah. No, if it's a shitty thought that takes me 10 seconds to write, that's one thing. If it's a shitty thought that takes me 3 weeks to write, that's another.
Fair. All right, brother. Well, we should get back to building. Congrats on the big contest, and yeah, if you haven't played around with Joke yet, go give it a shot. There's a contest live, and looks like more to come. And good hot takes. So give him a follow on X as well. Divine Economy. All right, brother.
Appreciate it.
Cheers.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Josh.